I decided to do the Undercover Professor when I found out that it was a great idea based on the program on TV. The idea came to interview some managers here in the college and outside to ask them about the biggest challenges in management. I found out after talking to some of them that many have great stories, ideas on things that happen to them as managers. One of my first challenges as a manager was when I was head of a nuclear reactor. I was only 26 years old, and I had the responsibility to take control of a research nuclear reactor back in Venezuela. I was the youngest with a master's degree in nuclear engineering, and all the employees, all the people there, well, most of them were older than me. It was a real challenge having to lead them, manage them, and be sure that all the operations of the nuclear reactor were safe. I remember the first meetings that we have with all of them. They always talk about the number of years they have in the reactor, how experience they have in many areas, and I have to deal with them, be positive, and be sure that I use them in the proper way to be a better manager. After a few months, I was already there. They knew that I was a person that was able to assemble the team, and I always consult with them when I have to do a very major decision. One of my biggest decisions, I see that I lost my hair during those years, was that I have to spend more than $4 million in buying nuclear fuel for the reactor. I have in front of me several binders from different companies around the world, and I have to decide which one of them was going to be our provider. I had to defend my case in the National Congress because this money was going to be spent for pacifical purposes, for peaceful purposes, and then we were sure that we want to do it in the right way. We want to spend that money for peaceful purposes of using nuclear energy. It was a great experience because I went all the way to Scotland to see the plant, the manufacturing plant. At the same time, I have to justify not only to the authorities of the institute where the reactor was located, but also to the Venezuelan Navy, because being a young officer, it was not under my rank to make these kind of decisions, but based on the position I have in charge of this nuclear reactor, well, I was the one who had to make that decision. It was tough, but we made it, and after 2 years, they finished the contract, and we were able to deliver the nuclear fuel to the reactor. At the same time, we were involved in many projects. We optimized the control rooms, we optimized some of the systems in the reactor, and we create instruments to help the scientists work in the nuclear field. After 3 years, I was already tired, but for me it was the great experience. It was a great challenge, and I solved it because I knew that I had the skills, I have the knowledge that was given to me by my nuclear degrees, and I had the best team of workers that helped me to fulfill my mission.
Michael Reiner, and I'm the Executive Dean at the Campus Cecil Center at Florida State College in Jacksonville. As Executive Dean, I work under the campus president, Dr. Gabrielle Mali, and my job primarily is to assist her in dealing with academic programs, curriculum, faculty, students, budget, and so on. In terms of my biggest management challenge, I'd first say it's kind of my first perspective is it's a large issue. I think the biggest challenge for the college overall is providing a quality education in the face of shrinking dollars. The college has lost a substantial amount of funds from the state over the past few years, given the economy. and it is very difficult to provide more with less. How do you maintain quality education? How do you increase the quality of your programs when you have fewer resources with which to assist faculty, help students? And so I do think a lot about that. And one of the ways that I try to deal with that as the executive dean is, one, in terms of, say, scheduling. We try to be very resourceful in organizing our schedule to waste dollars. Rather than have 5 different sections, each of which are only half filled, we try to modify the schedule of only 3 sections, all of which may be near capacity, and therefore we save those instructional dollars and can use them for some other program that may have needs as well. So trying to squeeze every dollar that we get from tuition and from the state to maximize the offerings we have for students, to maximize the quality of the programs, to provide technology and so on, for me is one of the things I think about the most as a manager. The next thing that's, I think, quite difficult as an academic manager is to, in a sense, evaluate faculty for quality instruction. In business, you have a metric which is the bottom line. I mean, are dollars being made, and that's the way that various businesses try to assess their success and their effectiveness, their productivity. In the academic world, finding some bottom line is a lot more difficult. We don't really have very accurate ways, at least as clear as a dollar bill, to try to determine how productive the faculty are, how successful our students are. And this is being demanded more and more by the public and by state legislatures. Legislature wants to know, are their dollars being spent effectively? And in the past, there really was not ways of measuring that, but there's been some more work over the past 5 to 10 years on looking at what are called outcomes assessments. Not only grades and classes, but what are students learning, and can we measure those outcomes and determine our overall effectiveness? And this is one way we're trying to, in a sense, document for the legislature, for the citizens, that we are good stewards of their tax dollars, and we are spending their money effectively and helping to produce citizens who will help the state and the country be more successful and improve the quality of life. Well, the first thing I think is you have to have lots of patience. If you lack patience, it can be problematic because people come at you with all different points of view, all different perspectives, and it takes time to assimilate all these ideas coming from different people to then kind of figure out what is the best way to proceed. If you're a bit petulant, if you like deciding quickly a snap judgment given your point of view, you will probably alienate many individuals, and you will not be able to develop a team approach where people work together for the sake of the cause and the good. So being very patient is important. Being very diplomatic is important. You need to know what not to say, because you might say something as a joke, but that joke may get someone very upset. So you need to be careful in how you address groups and crowds and think before you speak. And I would say one more thing would be to be good with quantitative information. Too many people make decisions based upon hearsay, anecdotes, kind of stories, but I truly believe that data is very, very important for helping us make the correct decisions. And so I would encourage you to become fast at statistics, quantitative analysis, and use those quantitative skills in decision-making processes. I think those things together will make you an effective manager.